Hey guys, so I have been dying to film this ever since I got really close to the end of my journal, and it is time. This is the flip through of my third bullet journal, which I will try and show you guys. This guy got super duper beat up. I think because of all the washi I was doing, and even like on the back, it's just like ridiculous how beat up this guy looks, but he's awesome. So this is actually a marine blue Leuchtturm A5 dot grid. And let's go ahead. I'll try and keep this short, but it's probably going to be kind of a longer video, so I apologize. So in here, pretty simple. I just taped in this postcard. My brother came to visit in October, and this was actually a town that we went to, and I picked up this postcard because it was super cute, so I put it in here. Front page, as per normal. So skipping this. So I have my index. And I will actually be posting my migration video from my third to my fourth bullet journal before this gets posted. So I've actually probably already talked about how I do my index. I hack the normal Leuchtturm index so that it works more like the official bullet journal index because I like having the page numbers at the end. So I basically just ignore the section that says pages and I just start kind of hugging the left. And you will see that I use my index, but I don't like fill it up completely. I still have a couple of lines left when all is said and done. So here we have my year at a glance. I did all of 2017 on here. And this is actually the style that I did for all of this, like all of my front pages. So basically any of the black lettering was in this Pentel touch sign pen, the soft tip, and I used, let's see if I can find in here, I think I used this. I want to say I used the 65 to do the shading in here, and then I used a Micron, I think 5-point, which I don't actually have with me right now, to do these like lines right there. So you can see that the style kind of goes through. I have a 4-month Calendex and a 4-month future log because I tend to not have a lot of things in the future that need to go in like specific dates like this. And as you can see, I haven't even filled up all the space. So that's why this works really well for me. But then on the Calendex, I tend to put in sort of my month at a glance. So I have my goals. This is changing in my new bullet journal, but in this one I actually had work, university, life, and home, which as you can see, I've crossed off all of 2. Oops. I have my financial spread, which I actually did do a video on how I set up my financial spread, so you can look at that for more. Have my wish list, Nespresso tracker, and waiting on. This is not a super important tracker, to be perfectly honest, but I just kind of like seeing how often I buy coffee and how much I go through, basically. I haven't done much with it yet. It's really just data collecting at this point. Sunshine and stationery. So for my Instagram, this is my tracker, and these were ideas for posts and whatnot, but as you can kind of see, I don't really use it, so I'm actually dropping this in my next journal. This I actually went a little crazy and I came back and bit me in the butt, but I needed to repurpose these pages. So I decided that I wanted to learn the Greek and Hebrew alphabet, so I put them in here for reference. Have my YouTube tracker. Again, I filled out the boxes and didn't actually get to it. You know it, it's life. I don't really have any big enough stickers to cover it, so that's why he's just kind of chilling out there. This I actually do use a little bit more, so you'll see how if you see the migration video, you see how I've changed this. I had a blank page that I didn't know what I was going to do with, so once I got closer to the end of my journal and I realized I wasn't going to be doing anything with it, I did some watercolor with masking fluid and then lettered over it. This is a page of private information, and these are actually tracking like trip stuff. So this is the back end of where we want to go for our trip, but the other stuff has a bunch of personal travel information. So then we get into December. So I've been doing this intro page, which I've seen all over Instagram for a couple of months now. I don't actually remember how long, but I really liked how December came out because of like this gold. I don't know how well that's going to come up on camera, but and then I started doing the mini monthly because I realized with my work and university bullet journal in my traveler's notebook that I don't need a super detailed calendar in my bullet journal. I just need to be able to see at a glance roughly where I'm going to be on any given day. So I don't need any bigger than this. And it's been working for 3 or 4 months now, so I'll probably keep it for the time being. Brain dump. This is something I did for a couple of months, and I'm actually going to be dropping it because I don't use it the way I need to be using a brain dump, or at least not the way I envisioned a brain dump to be being used. Anyway, I'm gonna change this. Memories. This one I had a lot of metallic, so it might be kind of hard to see on camera. So memories, gratitude log, reading. I actually did a lot of reading in December. Tracker. And then we get into weeklies. So this is my older style of weeklies. I've been doing this I had been doing it for a couple of months. I originally started out with a Boho styled weekly in my first 2 bullet journals, and then I've since moved over into this style, and you'll see later it changes again. So this is also my traditional full page daily, where there's a little bit of washi, a little bit of lettering, a little bit of journaling, and then my to-dos. And so this is one that at the end of the day, it looks kind of chaotic. I will be honest, it looks pretty chaotic, but during the day, it's really just the to-do list. And then at the end of the day, because obviously the week is an odd number of days, I have an extra page, and I usually would do lettering with this, which I do really enjoy. I've kind of missed doing that. So yeah, this actually, things kind of go on like this for a while. It was really working. I like having the memories kind of built in, and then I pulled bigger memories out to my memory page. Some days I didn't really feel like journaling even. The lettering, obviously, I really enjoy. And yeah, I've been kind of doing where on my week level, I'll sort of kind of stay with the color that I picked for the month. And then on a daily level, sometimes I'll change it up. But obviously in December, a lot of it was very festive. But yeah, so I like how that one came out with the gold. And if I have extra space, sometimes I'll even put washi on my weeklies rather than writing in stuff I don't need. So yeah, this is pretty much what my style was for quite some time. Let's see, we're getting into January, so the new year. Did a lot more lettering on this. I exceeded my reading goals for 2016, so that was really cool. My little New Year's spread. And then 2017, so I didn't have anything to do. I didn't want to start January, like my January intro page at the end right here. I wanted to have kind of a buffer. So I did a New Year's page, flipped, and then I did my intro page and then a quote on the side. And I do that sometimes if I want to have more of a separation between months, depending on how my pages sort of play out. But yeah, so I really like this. And this was my birthday month, so everything's in blacks and grays, basically. Same setup pretty much as normal. I have my mini monthly, the next month in a mini calendar, tasks for the current month, and upcoming stuff for the following month, plus the brain dump. Memories, gratitude. So this was when I actually decided to do sort of doodled memories. I think this is an idea that I got from Boho. I know she does it as well, but I imagine that's where I actually first saw it. And so I really enjoyed this. I did some doodles and some lettering and stuff, but it was not a big enough space, and it was kind of for some of the doodles, is too much of a time commitment, so I didn't do it every day. And you'll see I actually went back to my normal in February. So I have January reading. I was tracking a lot in January. I have since toned that down. It was just a little bit too much. Plan with me challenge. This was one of the prompts. I believe it was the 5. Yeah, for the 5th of January, why I planned. So I just wrote it in here because I had an extra page. And then back into weeklies. So, whoops. There we go. So you'll see that I kind of will do either complementary themes on both pages. But then spread to spread, the colors might change within a week. Just because I like when it's open, I like having something that looks kind of cohesive. And then I've started doing on Sundays a little bit of washi tape and stuff to sort of fill in with whatever I do on the right side. This was actually a risk. I am not huge on the brown, but I wanted something different because I actually had a washi idea for my lettering page, and I went with it, and I actually loved it. I have not actually done these colors since, but I do. I swear I loved it. It was really nice that week. So yeah, playing around with more washi. And then, so this is what drove my entire week's like color scheme and layout, was that I wanted to use this washi tape. It was actually a sample I got from an order, and I've been dying to use it. So that was why. Let's see, so more in January. So you'll see I have a couple of Calendex guys in there. And this is one of those things that you might notice that I have kind of two columns, and my brain sort of parses things out because I liked having space to journal at the bottom, so I didn't want to have things take up too much of the page and then only leave a small column on the right. So basically, morning stuff went up at the top. Anything that happened like either in the morning or all my events, or morning and afternoon, or events and tasks, like however it splits out during the day. I usually have two columns just to make the most of my space. Here is another little lettering. January was my Harry Potter lettering, I think. Yes. So January, I did all of my lettering pages at the end of the weeks are Harry Potter quotes. So it was my birthday month, so I was like, why not? I love Harry Potter. Let's do this. London packing information. Let's see. So we've got there. Oh my goodness. My pages are sticking together. There. So for my birthday, I did this spread. And then so I'm super weird. My birthday is on January 29th, and I turned the page and realized that page 129 was like right by my birthday. And I'm one of those weird people that I'm like, if it's 1:29 in the afternoon, like if my birthday shows up anywhere, I'm like, yay! So I basically was like, I have to make a spread. So I did this little minimalistic goodbye 20s, hello 30s spread, because I just wanted like a place marker and to take advantage of the fact that it was so close to my birthday page. So yeah, that's my silly little explanation for that. And then we have February. So February was my sage month, which I'm obsessed with this color. I love it. And yep, once again, pretty similar setup. I went back to my normal gratitude because I like doing a little bit every day. And again, with the reading, haven't quite pared down the tracker in February. That comes, I think, in March. Yeah, oops. So this was one where I did the Plan With Me challenge, and I didn't have anything here, so I just did a little quote. And I actually didn't write down who it was from because I'm not sure. It was one of those that's like floating around the internet. So I don't actually know who first came up with it. And this is where I started doing my new weeklies. So it was bothering me that I had all of my week, like my days of the week over here, and then all my tasks over here, because I felt like I'd focus on this side and ignore the right side of the page. So I've seen various spreads that do kind of the week along the top. So I did kind of a similar thing. And one thing that I liked was that also in my Traveler's Notebook, the weeklies that I use in there are a 6-day all across a spread. And so I basically did my 6 days. So I have my work week on the top and then my day off right down here. And then I have all of my tasks kind of in the middle of that. And then I've got my mini monthly calendar still the following week, random stuff that I might need. And then like down here sometimes changes a little bit. So I've been doing this maybe for 2 months now, and I really like it. I plan on keeping it for at least a little while longer until something better comes to mind. And yeah, so this still with the washi journaling and lettering, pages sticking again. There we go. Okay, and this is actually where I started changing things up drastically. So what I was realizing is this time of year, I was really busy with my master's, and I really just didn't have the time or the energy to do a full page daily every day. Like it was bogging me down. So I decided to go back to the traditional bullet journal setup. So this first one, I actually crammed 3 days in there. I tried a time tracker for one day and promptly abandoned it because I've tried time trackers on and off and they just don't really function they just don't work for me. So basically since I was no longer doing the full page dailies, I didn't have the journaling and I didn't have the lettering. So I created an extra page where I could do lettering and journaling and whatnot on here. So it's a little chaotic. I eventually ended up changing it some, so you'll see, but this was kind of my initial try. I was still doing some washi. I was still trying to do lettering. It was just, I wasn't doing a full page spread, so that if I didn't have something that would fill the full page, I didn't feel like I had to fill it. So yeah, you'll go here. I crammed a lot of the week on 2 pages, basically. Book recommendations. So these were things that came up during classes at school that I wanted to write down to read. A homework spread. So one thing that I realized was when I was doing my full page dailies, I had so much space that I was basically cramming too many tasks on, things that I was never going to get done, and I would have to migrate a ton because I only ever had 2 days open at any given time. And so once I went back to the more traditional rapid logging, I realized that I did have need for collections that I had been incorporating into dailies, and they were just getting lost, kind of. So that was actually a really good thing for me to, to go through that experiment and realize exactly what I was missing by doing my full page dailies. Not that I don't love them, not that I might not do them again, but at least for this time in my life, I really needed the ability to have collections because it was just getting to be too much to migrate all the time. So homework collection, overdrive collection, and I sometimes will pop in a full spread of lettering. So this was one where I did the lettering over here and I realized I wanted to fill this page. So I did a watercolor and then just did the credit on there. So actually, I really like how that came out though. So this now you'll see I'm getting into, I was going to 2 days and I stopped doing the 2 columns because I actually had, so flip back here, I actually was doing 2 columns and I was really realizing it was looking too squished for my brain. So I let myself do 2 days on a page and did 1 column. I also still have this guy. This particular week was just like chaotic looking at the end of the week. And you'll see on Thursday is when I started the different font style. Just to spread things out. I've seen other people do it and I was ready for another change, I guess. So decided to give it a go. And then, oh, I love how this spread came out. So I got this awesome forest washi from Planner Fee and I decided to do sort of like a weird little watercolor representation of it. And I kind of love how it turned out. Let's see. So keeps going. And so with this, I had a bunch of blank space and I put washi tape down, but I didn't actually fill it in because I didn't feel like I needed to. Memories again for the week, dailies. So you'll see now it's kind of spreading out a little bit more. Sometimes on Sundays, I still do have a ton of tasks just because I'm catching up from everything I didn't do during the week. So that's the one that still sometimes will get a full page. Paris trip information, another full page quote. This was actually because it was March. So this was one of those that I wanted a bit of a buffer. So I did my intro page here and I actually left this blank for maybe the first 2 weeks of March. And then I finally figured out what I wanted to do and went in, did my watercoloring, and then just did this random little in bloom just to fill up any other kind of blank space there. And monthly still looks the same. I didn't use all of my brain dump. Sometimes I don't, and that's cool. Memories, gratitude, and it was one of those that it was a 31-day month, but I just wrote shorter things, so I filled up the space at the bottom with the same washi I did on the top, just to kind of make it look complete. I actually just lettered this on here because I like to wait. If it looks like I don't have too many books for a month, I usually like to do some kind of a quote, but I try to wait to the end of the month just in case because you never know. March tracker, so I definitely, it's about half as short as it was last time, and it's been a lot better. I have fewer things going on here, so I feel like I actually can get more done, if you will. And then weekly. So this was the week that I moved over to this format. So the other, that one page that I was doing was just looking way too chaotic for my brain. I just didn't really like it. So I decided instead to do a couple of lines of journaling at the end of the day to just sort of recap anything big that happened or any little things that I wanted to remember. So that is what I use this for. And then I keep going with dailies. So this was when I first did a brain dump, because since I was doing shorter dailies like this, I just had some things on my mind, and so I sat down one day and I just went through a bunch of stuff, and I have like notes in different places, so I was trying to pull them together. So this has been really helpful, and I've done it a couple of times since then, which you will see. So this was my super minimal week experiment. So no washi, no color, like black, white, and gray, like nothing else. And I have to say, I kind of love it. I know it's very different from my normal style, but it was really, really helpful for all the stuff I had going on nearing the end of the month. So this was study log, homework, an application I need to work on, dailies, brain dump. So I started a brain dump and didn't have anything more, so I just left the page, and then I had more that I wanted to do, 2 days later, so I just continued on to the end of that page. And what I do is I actually page thread. So for example, the brain dump I had over here is page threaded over here. And when I went through, nope, sorry, this is not page 192. Come on. There we go, that's page 192. So they're page threaded, okay, so I can reference both of them. And then what I ended up doing is I had crossed off enough stuff that I then did a newer brain dump later, and I checked off the page because I've migrated everything over. So as I go through, I'm kind of condensing things. And that helps me keep track of things and not let it get too overwhelming, and not have it in too many random places in my journal, so I can kind of keep track of everything. My study log for the big exams that I had at the end of the month. And then, so I did my super minimal week and decided that it was great and all, but I wanted a little bit of color. So I did some color in my headers, and I actually used a green fountain pen ink that I have to do that. This journaling page, still the same. Did a little bit of washi tape on this week, but not too much. I've also started doing an email collection, because a lot of times my emails are not super time sensitive, and so I kind of keep track of them just so I don't lose them, and then I have others that are. So having them all in one place helps me sort of remember without having to actually go into my email and see, so I know like, oh yeah, I need to email this person soon. Also, YouTube to-do list, that's been really helpful for doing, now that I'm trying to edit my videos and add music and that sort of thing, that's been really helpful. So this is actually the brain dump that took over from those other two that were page threaded, so that's why those got checked off, and this is my new current one. And then this is another random page that was for homework, and I haven't filled it, and you know what? I'm at the end of the journal. I might not fill it, and there's nothing wrong with that. So you'll see here that I've got, again, a little lettered page, colors again, doing little doodles. I used to do some doodles in my journal, and for a while I was just doing washi, so now I've been trying to incorporate the doodles back again. Because one of the things is, if you look, the washi really thickens up the journal, and it puts a lot of strain on the spine and on the elastic, and it makes it bumpy to write on. So it was actually really nice in March not having all of that washi, so that it was just a little easier to work with. So we'll see in the future. I will probably use some washi, but I probably won't do quite as much as I was doing for a while. Another notes page, dailies. So with this, for example, I try to do my dailies all in one color so I can see them, and then other collections in different colors, just so they're a little bit more visible. I might start doing sort of bigger headers again, just to make it a little bit easier to see, but it is really nice just having this. I just do it in fountain pen and then I'm ready to go. So it's nice, fast setup. I've got this week, so you'll see lots going on. Haven't actually even crossed off everything from this week, but that's okay. I'll do that a little bit later. And I still have to fill out my last 2 days, although these technically are in April, so oh well. So I finished up the other email one, and it was too far back, so I did a new one, and I've just been adding to the emails and YouTube page. And then, so this is today. So I did a little note here, and I was so tired last night that I forgot a word, and I had to add it this morning. Oops. But yeah, so this is my daily for today, and I actually sometimes we'll do notes. So I'll do like the little note dash, and then I do it in cursive. And I believe this is something that Boho does too. And it's such a good idea because if I do it in the same font as everything else, it gets lost. So this way I can see the cursive. I'm like, oh yeah, I have a note on this page. And then I can read it if I need to or not, but it just makes it stand out a little bit more. So I'll have Sunday set up tomorrow. All I have right now is one particular event, and I will fill it in once I finish out tonight, but it's still, I think it's like 5:30 or something here. So I still got some time tonight that I might do some things on my current daily, so we'll see. This page, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. It's, you know, it's one of those that I might fill it up. I might leave it blank. I'm at the end of the journal, so who knows? I did, however, want to do, with any blank pages at the end, I do try to do some lettering, and this is the one that I did today, and I love this quote. It's in probably all of my journals at this point, or most of my journals. I'm not sure, and I think I hadn't actually done, I hadn't been doing quotes in this journal as much, or I hadn't been doing longer quotes. And so I didn't actually have this particular quote in the journal yet, and I said, you know what, it's the end, I think it's time. So I sat down and I did that while I was watching some YouTube videos today. So once I finished that, I was like, you know what, we're near enough to the end, I think it's time to do the flip through. So basically, this is it. I have one blank spread. I have some random notes for my best friend's trip in April that I didn't want to put them in my new journal yet because they're still kind of messy, but I wanted to have them written down, so I just wrote them at the end of this journal, and I will refer to them when I need to. And then we get into my third Boho review, and you can see I actually didn't fill up that space. I just wrote myself a little happy 1-year Boho-versary to me note in there. I have my Boho setup and my new Boho to-do list. And that is that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this flip through. I know my style's changed kind of a lot, so I hope that that's something that, well, I know that a lot of people have sort of a similar style and it just stays very static, and I'm always really like impressed by that. I think that's a really cool thing if you just like know your style and you can stick with it. But I'm one of those people where sometimes I want to change things up, not because it's not working for me, but because I'm ready for a change. So I hope that if there are others of you out there who feel like you have to keep your bullet journal always in the same style, that seeing this might help you kind of play with your style a little bit more. Yeah, and you know what? Each bullet journal is different, and I feel like each one that I've done so far, this is my third, has been getting not better, but closer and closer to what I want it to be. And so who knows what the fourth one will be like. So yeah, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. And if you like this video and you want to see more, feel free to subscribe or give it a thumbs up. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.